What's going on, mid-market family? So in the penny stock market, I have noticed some setups really starting to shape up, really starting to potentially bottom out and potentially be ready for a big move. We've had a little bit of red in the micro cap market, which usually creates some opportunities, creates some bigger runs, and creates some bottom out explosive plays. Now, you guys come here to watch my channel to get ideas, what I think can go on big runs. It's ultimately up to you at the end of the day to decide to buy, hold, or sell any of these stocks that I'm talking about in these videos. I don't make these videos to say, hey, go rush and buy this stock. I'm not even here to tell you to buy, hold, or sell anything. That's your own decision. But you guys are subscribed to this channel. You guys watch this channel to see plays that I think have that explosive big time run potential. That's what I bring on this channel, guys. If you want a long-term hold, VOO and Bitcoin, those are two great long-term holds that I buy every day and hold for 5-10 years down the road. Is this a play that I'm going to be holding for 5-10 years down the road? Absolutely not. This is a play that I'm looking to swing trade. This is a play that is high risk, that needs risk management being used, and that needs to be monitored at all times to make sure the filings and everything like that are, safe and everything is going as planned. I'm going to talk about the whole play. If you skip and just watch and just see the ticker and leave, the whole entire idea is going to go right over your head. You're not going to use any risk management. You're not going to know the idea behind the play. And, you can't just do that. So watch to the end. Enjoy the video, guys. Let's talk about the stock. It's ticker VEEE. For transparency, this is one that I traded way earlier in the year. One of my biggest trades of the year was on ticker VEEE. Now, I'm not showing this to go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to run it back and make the same amount on this play once again. This play that I took earlier in the year, this was called in the private Discord. There's a link in the top pinned comment to get my ideas. I have losers as well. I don't always have winners, but I share you guys what I'm doing. And that's what the Discord is for. And it's a huge community. But the point is, guys, the reason I'm showing this is to show that this stock has made me big gains in the past. And I believe the chart is starting to set up here for a potential another big run. And we'll get to the chart later in the video. So like I said, stay to the end. But I just want to go over this play again because it is getting to a point, as you can see on the chart, where it hit an all-time low. And, based on the setup here, based on the dilution statistics, based on the flow, based on the recent news, and based on the fact that, this has ran huge in the past. This is where I played it last time. I alerted it here in the Discord, bought a huge position down there. It ran, I sold on the way up. I always sell penny stocks on the way up because I always take my profit on the way up. I don't hold any penny stocks long-term. Anything, like anything, under $1 billion market cap for the most part isn't really a long-term hold, but they can make for some really big trading opportunities so you can build your portfolio. And what I love to do is I like to build my portfolio off of trading. And then what I like to do is take those trading profits and put them into long-term holds like ticker VOO and whatnot. But ticker VEEE here, this is sitting at a $3.8 million market cap. And the float is 1.98 million right now. Currently, the offering ability is low and the overhead supply is low. This is a company that doesn't have a lot of cash, 3.5 months of cash. So it's not like, they're never going to raise cash. They're eventually going to have to raise cash in the future because it's a penny stock. They're not profitable, but in the very short term and like medium term-ish, if you play it right, if you're watching and you're consistently keeping up on filings, this is a play that I do think does have the ability to go on another run in the near future, just like it did back here and just like it did, a couple times even recently. Even recently it was getting some good volume, but then, micro caps and high risk plays started to dip, pretty much as kind of when Bitcoin dips, a lot of, micro cap plays dip as well. And that kind of just happens. It's kind of a cycle. And then things bottom out and then they go on explosive runs. But right now, VEEE, if you look at the dilution risk here, currently as the filing stands, they cannot dilute. They cannot dilute currently. They use their 2022 shelf. They diluted a few times, did some offerings a few times in the past. And right now they're sitting at a point where they are not currently able to dilute. But if they submit an S1, that could change. So you always got to keep an eye on the filings. That's why I say if you are playing these penny stocks, you do have to stay consistent with them. You can't kind of just blindly buy a penny stock and hold it and just forget about it, because that's not how these really work out. Okay. You know, something like VOO, you can blindly buy and forget about it. That's what I do all the time. But for something like this, I do keep an eye on it. You know, especially if I'm swinging it overnight, I have to keep an eye on it. I have to keep, you know, a very close eye on the filings to make sure everything is good with this one. And currently it's at a spot where it does need cash, but right now they can't dilute. Okay. So now there was news just about a couple weeks ago, very recent news, where they basically were able to sell part of their business. So they sold, you know, their North Carolina property here, and it was a $4.25 million sales price, which will positively affect Twin Vee's balance sheet. So hopefully that sale will hold them over a little bit longer from diluting. You know, they did sell it for $4.25 million, but they got only $500K right off the bat, where they're going to get the rest of the money, you know, kind of years down the line, October 31st, 2026. And then on April 30th, 2027. And then again, the final payment, the biggest chunk is actually going to be in 2027. So this might hold them off a little bit with that $500K from, you know, really near-term dilution, but, you know, it is good to look into it. It is a big sale for them, but the deal is structured weird, and, you know, they're going to get interest on it over time, and they will eventually, you know, do well and make $4.25 million off the sale, but they get it over the course of a period of time. So it is good to know that, but in terms of this play, it's not super, you know, because this is not something I would hold that long anyway, to 2026 and 2027. So it's kind of irrelevant at that point. It is just something to note here. They have had some news. So it's good to see with these plays that they're actively putting out news. Some penny stocks say they're not actively putting out news, and this one is. So it's just always good. They announced commencement of a Bahama Boat Works production and custom deliveries. But really the main point of this one is that the market cap is very low, the float is very low, the overall dilution ability is very low, and this is a play that has ran massively in the past. You know, we can see from back here, from 252, it ran 265%, and then from down here, recently $2 to $3.53, and right now it is at $1.73. So how am I going to look to play this going into this week? Well, you know, if I'm taking a swing, I'm never going to buy my entire position on my first buy. That's just not what I do. If I'm taking a penny swing, I'll slowly, you know, let's say $1.73, the current price, I'll put in, let's say I'm going to put in a 20K, or let's just say a 10K position. I'll do $2,000 at $1.73. If it gets down to $1.60, then I'll do another 2,000, and then $1.57, another 2,000. And then eventually, let's say my average is $1.64. Okay. Then I'll do a let's say a 10% stop or a 5% stop, whatever your risk management is. Just an idea. Let's say your stop is under $1.50. So your average is $1.64. You're willing to take an 8% loss, okay? But the potential upside, you're willing to take an 8% loss, but the potential upside of the swing is, you know, that huge move, 100%. So the risk reward is really good on this one, and we know the potential reward based on what we've seen it do in the past, guys. And that's it for me, guys. Drop a like on this video. If you want to get alerts where I gave this one last time I played it, link in the top pinned comment. I'll see you in there. Peace.